It is an honor to welcome our 15 exceptional teachers. Please join me in thanking all of our generous sponsors who are listed in your program.
Science plays such a key role in our oil and gas industry that it was really fortuitous that this opportunity came available for us to sponsor a secondary science award. As part of the committee, we were able to see a lot of the fine teachers that work in the Fort Worth ISD. And I'll tell you, the Fort Worth ISD has a lot to be proud of. It's really very impressive. There were many qualified applicants, and they're all very deserving, but like always, one really stood out. Not just for his deep commitment to his teaching and his students, but also a very profound commitment to and involvement in the science community as a whole. So I'm excited to present the Fort Worth ISD Chair for Teaching Excellence in Secondary Science to Andrew Brinker. Thank you.
I would like to begin by giving thanks to Devin for their support in Secondary Science Chair of Teaching Excellence Award. Without energy, the future for our children would be bleak. Devin is a leader in oil and natural gas exploration and production, and they provide us this energy in an environmentally responsible way. I would also like to thank Dr. Sharon Ming for hiring me at Paschal and helping me to develop into the teacher I am. Thanks to Dr. Terry Mossage and the administration at Paschal High School for their continued support. Thanks to Mrs. Shane Woods, the Director of Science, for support and encouragement. And finally, thanks to my beautiful wife, Christina, who has sacrificed much family time for all of my science adventures. I would like to close with a short story entitled An Amphibian Education. On a crisp autumn day under a log rotting in decay was a mother marbled salamander guarding eggs that she had just laid. They hatched into larvae their first school in ephemeral pool. They learned how to swim and crawl and what not to eat. Metamorphosis. They are now young adults. They begin school anew, a flooded forest full of fog and ferns and mosses too. In search of help and what to do, they find me under a toadstool. An older salamander, I have learned from my mistakes. I teach the new generation how to find what they will need. The future of the forest is now more secure, a reward I treasure each day as we all move forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Susan Keel from Lockheed Martin, and I was asked to come to this luncheon and present two awards, one for elementary science and one for elementary math. And what a delightful thing to be asked to do. Lockheed Martin absolutely understands the importance of a STEM education. And our success as a company, and honestly our success as a country, weighs heavily on our technological advantage, and that comes from a STEM education. So we've been sitting at the table talking about, teachers, and what's so amazing is every one of us remembers that teacher that got us to follow what our passion was. Mine was my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Schultz. He was the one that said, math is your place, and that's where I went and that's where I stayed. So it is just so incredibly important at such a very young age to capture the hearts and the minds of of our children, of our nation's children, of our children's children. And that's what these two women embody. So I'd first like to introduce Julianne Barrett, who was our recipient for elementary science. Julianne.
Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I happen to completely agree with this famous quote by Nelson Mandela. The reason I believe this is a simple story from my experience in education. One of my favorite aspects of teaching is being able to keep in contact with my former students. Even though it can be challenging, I try to attend their extracurricular activities and award ceremonies so I can celebrate their successes. But even when I can't see them, I still have another method of communication, and that's through their younger siblings. Recently, a student approached me and asked if I knew who her big sister was. I said no, and she said that her big sister was Valeria Garcia and that her name was Daniela. Daniela goes on to tell me that Valeria speaks very highly of me and that I am Valeria's all-time favorite teacher. Really cool. And so Daniela then goes on to say that Valeria wants to be a doctor when she grows up, and the reason she wants to be a doctor was because of me. Valeria is now in the 8th grade, and yet I was able to instill the love of science into her in the 5th grade. I know Valeria is going to go on to change the world into a better place, and I know she's going to be a doctor one day. She might even be my doctor. As educators, it should be our lifelong mission to be able to help our students achieve their goals and dreams. I mean, it's through opportunities like this that I feel so privileged to be able to stand up here and share my passion of education with all of you. So I'd like to give a special thanks to Lockheed Martin, my Fort Worth ISD family, and thank you to you all.
Let me introduce Araceli Williamson, who is our recipient for elementary math.
I am honored to be a part of this celebration and to be able to stand here today amongst so many wonderful educators. Thank you to Lockheed Martin for this amazing opportunity. Your steadfast commitment, unwavering support, and prodigious generosity to this cause serve to encourage and promote teaching excellence district-wide. Thank you to Kelly Davis and Ronald Ivey for their support in this endeavor and allowing me to continue to work with the gifted staff at Springdale Elementary. Thanks also to Christopher, my husband, who is a fountain of encouragement for all my endeavors inside and outside the classroom. Teaching is a microcosm of life. It calls on all our better qualities to survive: dedication, perseverance, creativity, stamina, understanding, and patience, lots and lots of patience. These qualities help us dig through all the difficulties, frustrations, and problems that we encounter daily so that we are able to find the golden nuggets of success. 13 years ago, God in his infinite wisdom and omniscience opened the door so that I could be an educator. I was a substitute teacher trying to pay for college. As a biology major, I wanted to go to grad school. Teaching full-time was not in my plans. Although I loved teaching, I did not think the classroom was my canvas. I was happy substitute teaching, admiring safely from a distance the true professionals. During that period in my life, the principal at Springdale at the time, Vic Eugenio, approached me about a position that was available and would I be interested. The idea of being responsible for the academic welfare of so many children filled me with trepidation. I told him I would have to think about it. I made him wait and wait and wait, but he was very patient. But I finally relented. I received my alternative certification from the teammate program. The next year, I began my new assignment as a 3rd grade teacher. After a few weeks in the classroom, I noticed that the world did not fall apart and that the children were not the worse for wear. I found out that I could teach and the children could actually learn. It was then I knew that teaching was my calling. Now I cannot imagine doing anything else. But I especially love teaching math. I love creating stories and games to go with lessons and watching children engaged in math. I have found when children comprehend math, they desire more. When I taught 3rd grade, many of my students had mastered their multiplication facts and could recite them effortlessly. They were proficient in long division, and many were comfortable doing 4th and 5th grade math. Recently, a former student came back to visit. I inquired how she was doing in middle school. She was ecstatic to report that she was passing all her classes, but her favorite was math. I told her I was proud of her and to keep up the great work. Before she left, she embraced me and she said, "Miss Williamson, you know, every time I do math, I think about you." These are the moments I cherish. It reminds me of why I am here. Every year I continue teaching is an opportunity to improve on the last, to embark on a new adventure, to create a new lesson that no one has ever done before, to make up a new story, to learn from new experiences, to influence and inspire, and to have fun doing it. As my beloved Goldie Square would say, I have found my home, and it is just right. Thank you.
And I'm really excited to be here today to provide this recognition to one of our Fort Worth Independent School student teachers. So with that, I just wanted to share a couple of things about what Target does in the community. Target is fully committed to supporting our communities. We do so by providing funds to our local schools and our local art organizations. As of right now, we provide about $4 million to our local communities every week. By the year 2015, this will add up to $2 billion. We're very proud of our partnership with the Dallas-Fort Worth Independent School District. As a matter of fact, we're really excited because for the first time ever, we're able to remodel one of our local elementary school libraries a couple of months ago. And so things like that really reinforce our commitment to our local communities. With that, though, I do want to take a moment and recognize Lindsay Hammond today. I want to share a quote from her principal, Mr. Omar Ramos. So Lindsay has done an outstanding job of working collaboratively with every department and individual teacher to ensure that all students benefit from their high school experience. Ms. Hammonds is a student and teacher advocate. She works hard to ensure that all students are learning and works even harder to make sure that our teachers have the necessary resources. The other exciting program that Lindsay sponsors is the Millionaires Club. This club celebrates and provides incentives to all students who successfully read books throughout the year and have accumulated over 1 million word reads. With that, again, I want to recognize you and congratulate you on being the recipient today. And as I stated, I'm really excited to be here representing Target. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank Fort Worth IC. I've been in this district for 9 years. I don't ever want to leave. I feel privileged to be a part of such an amazing district. I would like to thank Target and the ladies that made up my panel. I was completely nervous, just like I am now, and I'm glad that they were able to see through my nerves and hear the message that I was trying to send. Library Media Services, Carter, Cook, and Jennifer, they are such excellent role models and leaders. I don't know what I would do without you guys. And my principal, Mr. Ramos, he came to the school again last year, returning, and I just want to thank you for sharing the love of literacy and letting the library play a valuable role within the school. If you would have told me in high school that I was going to grow up to be a librarian, I would have completely laughed at you. Well, actually, when I told my friends that I was going to be a high school librarian, they fell out of their chairs laughing. And their response was, "But Lindsay, you're so loud." And I am. But I told them that I was going to make the library a place where kids wanted to come and feel welcome and read and get on computers and do research, just a place where they felt welcome. And I had a student tell me that it was the only place that she could be herself and it felt like home. And that was just the biggest compliment that she could have given me. There was a boy that came in to the library and he said, "Ms. Hammonds, my teacher is making me read a book." And I don't want to. And so I looked at him and I took that as a challenge and I get so excited and I said, "I'm gonna find you a book, you're gonna finish it, you're gonna love it, you're not gonna be able to put it down." And he looked at me like I was absolutely crazy. Well, he came back a few days later and asked for another one. And then he would leave class to come to sit in the library just so he could sit and read. And, you know, picking my jaw up off the floor, I'm like, "Oh, it worked," you know, so excited. And I can't even begin to tell you how that made me feel. I know if anything, a little spark had been lit and that perhaps a love of literacy and books had begun. My motto is, if you don't like reading, well, then you're probably not doing it right. As our profession and the role of libraries are changing, I feel that I'm incredibly lucky to be a part of such a special place within the school. I'm able to help support teachers, curriculum, teach research skills, and college readiness. So while some people think that librarians will be obsolete in the future, I personally think that our role will only become more vital within education. And again, I feel incredibly lucky to be a part of it. Thank you.
Kroger is just thrilled to be a sponsor of the Teaching Chair for Excellence in Special Education. Kroger has a high degree of interest in education. We employ a large number of both high school and college students throughout our stores in the nation and in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We offer scholarships to many young associates with the hope that they'll stay at Kroger and make a long-term career with us. We also employ many special needs associates. This group gives great customer service to our customers. It takes a very talented individual to teach special education. We are here today to recognize one of those very, very special teachers, Taya Major. Taya teaches special ed at Boulevard Heights. She is a 6-year veteran and has taught in the Fort Worth Independent School District for over 4 years. She was recognized as a Campus Teacher of the Year for the year 2012-2013. The judges were extremely impressed with Taya's teaching methods. She is extremely creative and enthusiastic. She engaged the judges like she engages all her students. In fact, taught me how to use the Big Mac. And I'd like to also recognize one of the other judges I see in the crowd, Jason Byrne with TCU. He was almost a borderline discipline case. Taya's principal stated, who is Paul Kaufman at our table, she is steadfastly student-centered and one of the most consistent voices on our campus for respectful and appropriate treatment of students. It is my extreme great pleasure to recognize Taya Major as the Kroger Chair for Teaching Excellence in Special Education.
When I first heard about the Chair for Teaching Excellence in Special Education contest, I thought to myself, this is a big deal. I never thought I would be rewarded outside the classroom from doing something I love. So for that, I thank you. In one of my entry essays, I used a profound quote from a country singer. She said, "I hope you still feel small when you stand beside an ocean." I can say with true conviction, my career as a special education teacher has proven just that. My choice of becoming a teacher stems from a personal tragedy. My brother was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor at the age of 4 and again at age 9. The tragic event caused my brother to struggle with a learning disability. Yet he had teachers who wouldn't give up on him. I am proud to say he graduated from high school and is now attending college. My brother's experience sparked my interest to want to know more. In 2000, I began my expedition of working with students with intellectual disabilities. As a teacher, I have the privilege of fostering students' imagination, provoking thought, and providing the lens of a brighter future. It's a fact that teaching can be a very challenging job, but I say it's an opportunity to mold each student's view and understanding of the world around them. Being classified as an excellent teacher is not just someone who explains, but someone who educates. Not someone who talks, but someone who demonstrates. An excellent teacher not only inspires, but will faithfully stride alongside each student through their journey of success. In closing, I would like to give a warm thank you to all who made this day possible. A special thank you to Kroger for acknowledging each teacher's worth. I would like to also thank my mentor and boss, Paul Kaufman, for giving me my first teaching opportunity, for seeing and supporting the passion I have for teaching. This is the guy who told me he needed to pray after my interview. Thereafter, telling me he would hire me even if I had a bachelor's degree in basket weaving. To my colleagues and other educators, dream big. And if those dreams don't scare you just a little bit, they're not big enough. Thank you.
It's a thrill to be with you again this year, presenting the chair for secondary English. Before I get into the introduction of our award recipient this afternoon, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for what you do every day. Most of my day is spent working with the largest employers in Tarrant County on all of their banking needs, and we also employ about 5,000 people in Tarrant County. And so as someone who's actively involved in hiring people every day, I can tell you the work that you do is incredibly important. As someone who's out interacting with CEOs every day, I can tell you the work that you do is incredibly important. When you ask the CEOs in Tarrant County what their most pressing issues are, those issues have begun to shift away from things like economy to a lesser extent regulation, but we're getting there, now towards where am I going to find the people that will allow me to fuel the growth in this business over the course of the next decade. There's no institution in Tarrant County that's more important than the Fort Worth ISD in fulfilling that need. So thank you for what you're doing every day. Much of the emphasis in hiring around Tarrant County often focuses on STEM education, and we're strong supporters of STEM education at Chase. But one of the things that's become more apparent to me over the course of the last year is that STEM, without great communication skills, knowledge of the English language, is really worthless. Without good English skills, you can't communicate the concepts that are developed through technological advancement. And also, as I'm sure you are all aware, technology can erode the ability to communicate clearly. So I can barely understand my daughter some days. They communicate in letters, not words. And so I think it's fitting to recognize teachers in English in particular in this changing world in which we live. What they do is so important to the future of our country, to our economy, and so thank you for that. The individual we're recognizing today is truly distinguished. He's been a teacher for 16 years, 14 of those with the Fort Worth ISD, so we could have recognized him a long time ago and he would have earned it, but he's really, really earned this recognition for his commitment to the education in the district. He's assisted with the development of the Gold Seal program of choice at Heights Academy. He's been a curriculum writer for Advanced Placement English, Whiz Quiz team coach, a UIL literary criticism and spelling vocabulary coach. He's been involved in a lot of different facets of education and been a leader in each. He's also recognized by his students for the way he goes about teaching. And like many of you who are being recognized today, words like inspiring and creative come out time and time again with respect to his teaching approach and skills. And I think you're about to see a little bit more of that creativity here in just a minute. So without further delay,
LOL.
it's my pleasure to introduce you to the award recipient for secondary English this year, Mr. Mims.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. When I learned that I was honored with the Chase Chair for Teaching Excellence in Secondary English, I almost felt bad for making my panel dress up in wigs for our performance of King Lear. I said almost. But King Lear is at its heart a play about the importance of bonds in society, how we are all linked together. The message of the play is that we really must recognize and honor these bonds. Because the bonds that bind us together, because of these bonds, we must support each other and be open to receiving support from others. As a teacher, I support my students in their educational pursuits and help them achieve their goals. But I also receive support as a teacher, and for that I am profoundly grateful. I'd like to thank my wife, Jennifer, for her support for these last 10 years. I'd like to thank my principal, Sarah Weeks, for her support this year at Arlington Heights High School. And I'd like to thank my school and my department for their support. And finally, I would sincerely like to thank Chase for their support by honoring me with this award. I and my family truly appreciate your kindness and generosity. I ended my presentation to my panel by quoting Shakespeare, so I feel it's only appropriate to kind of quote him once again from his play, Twelfth Night. I can no other answer make but thanks, and ever thanks. Thank you.
Something that our companies place so much emphasis on education. I think all of our companies do. And after all, these students, our kindergartners, are our future leaders. They're our future engineers. They're our future community leaders, and we couldn't be more happy for them. As part of XTO and ExxonMobil, and as part of this great city, and as a product of this ISD, we're pleased to be able to present this award to Jennifer, and she is awesome, and we're just thrilled. So come on up.
Thank you to XTO Energy for the opportunity to apply for such a prestigious award. I'm very honored that you took the time to allow me to partake in this wonderful endeavor. My mother, an elementary PE teacher, Lula Terry, and my first grade teacher, the late and great Dorothy Stewart, inspired me to become an accomplished educator. They demonstrated passion, heightened enthusiasm, and touched so many lives with their teaching methods, causing me to want to be just like them when I grew up. I recall Mrs. Stewart taking me in during all of the elementary school summer breaks and teaching me additional information to prepare me for the next grade. My mother would demand that I read books to the recorder and listen to myself once my book was complete so that my reading fluency would be perfected. Due to those awesome experiences from a few of many dedicated educators, I developed a passion for learning and teaching. I am more than grateful for my younger sister and brother for allowing me to always be the teacher when we played school. Okay, actually, I'm really bossy, so I demanded to be the teacher. I strongly believe my childhood, along with my adulthood experiences, have motivated me to become the educator that I am today. I vividly remember my first day of school as an educator on Monday, August 25th, 2008. I was a huge ball of nervousness, but excitement. I was ready to make a difference in the lives of our nation's future leaders. I had all these great activities and stories planned for the first day and ended up teaching by the door. I will never forget Unce. Unce was a student who was from Iraq. Not only was she new to our school, she was new to the country. She ran away, scratched me, pushed me, and talked to me in Arabic. I just conversed with her in English as if I totally understood her Arabic and stood by the door trying to teach as if it were the normal spot to teach from. That temporary experience of discomfort allowed room for growth throughout the entire school year. Needless to say, as the school year progressed, Unce blossomed academically, began calling me by my name, and speaking in English. Moments like that make me love and appreciate the gift God has blessed me with more and more. To this day, I highly dislike teaching with my door closed. I would like to thank XTO Energy, my mother, Miss Lula Terry, my first grade teacher, the late great Dorothy Stewart, and my principal, Mrs. Alice Galvin, for believing in me. The smallest acts of kindness can have the biggest impact, and I am very appreciative for all of you. May God bless you.
We've been sponsoring the Chair for Health and Physical Education for the last 4 years, and I think a lot of times our health and PE teachers maybe get a little bit overlooked, but when you hear stories constantly in the news about childhood obesity and the lack of awareness about health and healthy eating, it becomes pretty aware for a parent that they're a vital part of our schools. This year, our committee selected Donna Warner, Ms. Warner here, as our winner, and it was a unanimous decision. She has an enthusiasm and an openness about her that I know is reflected on the students, and I know they can see that in her. She told us when she first came in that when she was a student, she didn't really appreciate what her coaches went through and why they were pushing her, and she didn't really understand it. And I think that her students probably get that from her. They fully understand that she knows where they're at and works hard to make them want to be in her class and want to learn to have a healthy lifestyle. So I'd like to present Donna Warner.
I decided to take this opportunity to share how a teacher coach shaped my life and warmed my heart. The person that was the biggest influence in my life was my high school basketball coach. This goes back to the story he read. My parents were divorced. It was just my sister who was mentally retarded and myself. My grandparents raised us because my mom was always at work. I would get in fights in school sticking up for my sister and did not realize that I was an attention seeker. I did not get a lot of attention at home because my sister would always get the attention. As a teenager, I struggled in school to understand why my coach was always in my business. When I got in trouble, he knew before anybody else. When I missed school, he would show up at my grandparents' house and make sure everything was okay. He and I would knock heads at practice every day because I refused to do the right thing, often on purpose just to get a rise from him. I was known for my hands on the hips and rolling of my eyes. As a result, I did more than my share of laps and push-ups. My selfish actions often caused my teammates to have to run extra because of me. I did not know then, but I was doing things to stick up for my sister and to get in trouble in class just to get attention. My first teaching job was at Halton Middle School, and you would never guess who I acted like, my high school coach. As I matured and started teaching, I began to understand why I did the things I did in high school. Throughout my years of teaching, I became a lot like him and figured out how he knew everything that was going on with me. I understand things he taught us and why. In 2000, at age 36, my sister passed away. I went to El Paso for the funeral, and my mom told me to go see my high school coach. When I saw him, he told me that my mom asked him to deliver the eulogy at Barbara Ann's funeral. I was stunned but relieved because I knew he really knew my sister. He asked me if I wanted to say anything, and I told him I wasn't sure I could. So he told me that I was going to read the obituary, and I just said, okay. He made my sister's funeral very personal to my family, and I don't remember a whole lot about the funeral because I was putting up a strong front, but I do know that everything he said was so true and so real. Coach Vanley wore my patience out in high school just like I did his, but 15 years after graduating from high school, he stepped up and represented me and my family like no other one could have done. Coach Vanley was a father figure to me, and to this day, I can never thank him enough. I love and respect this man more than anybody else. In closing, I would like to say thank you to people sitting at my table, Ann Sutherland, Georgie Roberts, Dorothy Gomez, April. She's got a long last name. and Corey. But in closing, I'd like to thank Lineberger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson for this award that has become a high point in my teaching career. Thank you.
I think we figured out for the 5th straight year, Friesen Nichols is sponsoring the Teaching Excellence Award in secondary math, which makes a lot of sense for an engineering firm to push math. So, and I'm really delighted we got the elementary level, and we need all the engineers we can get. But we have been doing this for 5 years, and we actually, I've told this story, we filled in 1 year because the people that did it said they couldn't. So we said, I will do it for a year. Well, that was 5 years ago. And I can guarantee you from a mathematical certainty, there are 5 outstanding secondary math teachers in this school district. And Ryan Peterson is absolutely no exception. This guy's amazing. My crew that did the interview started talking about all the stuff he did, and he really works his students with spreadsheets, and I think you have a website that they work off of, which I didn't know what those were. Still not sure. And that they said this guy uses the Baldrige criteria for quality in teaching his students math. So being a Baldrige winner, we think that's outstanding. He also worked at the Star-Telegram, and I guess got caught up in the challenges at the Star-Telegram. So I will tell you the Star-Telegram's loss is absolutely the Fort Worth District's gain. So it is my pleasure to recognize Ryan Peterson as the Teaching Excellence Secondary Math this year.
I came into teaching as a second career, but learning has always been a lifelong passion of mine. I formerly worked for 7 years as a journalist with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. However, in that career, I often felt as though I was just going through the motions. While I may have been producing quality work, I wasn't making a difference in people's lives. I always had wanted to teach, so I thought I'd give it a try, and Fort Worth ISD supported me in that. While my job is now more challenging tenfold, I would not switch back. I am validated every day that I walk through the doors of Benbrook Middle School knowing that I'm going to make a difference in someone's life. It's heartwarming that so many institutions in our community want to support teachers through the Teaching Chair program. I would like to thank everyone at Friesen Nichols for their utmost generosity and understanding in the value that teachers play in the lives of our students. I would also like to thank my current principal, Richard Penland, and former principals, Sarah Weeks and Dr. Leanne Barty, for their wisdom and leadership. Lastly, I'd also like to thank my wife for putting up with me during the many hours I sit at the kitchen table, lesson planning and grading papers. I am honored to have been named the Friesen Nichols Chair for Teaching Excellence in Secondary Mathematics. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for your time today.
And this is I think it's my 7th year being a part of providing this award for Crescent. I have sat on the committee every year and have met many people throughout the Fort Worth ISD. And this event is one of the highlights of my year. To see these teachers out here that give so much and have so much passion for what they do and to share their stories is so heartwarming.
But this year, I have someone special up here with me, Shannon Oden. We, as a committee, during the interview process, sat back and really could recognize that she just was not the photographer teacher for these students, but she was their friend, she was their mentor, and she wanted to guide her students to great success. This was evident through her dedication to her students through programs. She created a photography book for all the students to show their work. And she has supported them to find opportunities outside of the school to do their photography. We felt like her creativity, along with her passion, was what made us choose her for this award this year. So please congratulate Shannon Oden for the teaching Chair of Excellence in Technology and Career.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank Fort Worth ISD for the wonderful opportunity for putting this together, and also to Crescent Real Estate for sponsoring the award and for their very proactive role in the community. Thank you to my principal, Mr. Ramos, and my administrative team at my campus for continually supporting me and my program. I've really grown a lot this year, personally and professionally, and this year I've seen a lot of great things happen in the classroom. I've seen a student who was not wanting to come to school, was routinely staying at home, was coming to school with a really bad attitude, didn't want to come to class. And he's been very combative and just argumentative and just not wanting to be there. And through discussion and encouragement, I've encouraged him to sit down and focus. And we're working on our Adobe certification. He was the first one in the classroom to become Adobe certified. And now I brag on him, and I brag to my administrators, the hall monitors, which know him very well, and to everybody. And this praise has come back to him, and he's been excited. He's been more engaged. He's encouraging the other students with their certification, and now he's pursuing additional certifications himself. When I see changes like this in the classroom, it really reaffirms that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. My juniors have mentioned that coming in at the bell and doing the question of the day on the collegeboard.com site really paid off when it was PSAT time. They said it made a difference. The seniors are doing their college essays for scholarships and entrance. And when they say things about my program that have positively impacted them and made them feel differently about what's coming after high school, it makes me feel good. I personally care about all of my students, as Suzanne mentioned. I asked them what I should say in my speech today. And one of them said, she's a real cutie pie, she's about this tall. She said, "You're a very caring and helpful teacher who uses her valuable time just to help us out. Even when we disappoint you, you never give up on us. You push us to try harder. Even when we feel everyone else has lost hope and given up on us, because of you, I'm still in school. I'm making an effort to be a better person." So my kids are the best part of the job, and they make me very happy. They keep me laughing. They never fail to present me with a challenge, and they continue to impress me with their creativity. So in the end, I have to thank them too, because that's why I'm here today. So thank you very much. Thank you again. Appreciate it. I'll leave that there.
We're a call center here in Fort Worth, so when we talk about things such as speaking, reading, being able to look at a screen and acknowledge things, it's very important what we get to present today, which is the elementary reading and the teaching chair of excellence. For us as a group, it's an honor for the Harvison family who owns us, John and Sue, who each had parents who were teachers. Sue's background in vocation, I know at one time wanted to be teaching, but they consider it a tremendous opportunity to be a part of this, I believe, since the inception of the teaching chair. So I've been fortunate to be able to present the last 4 years, even though Leanne Hageman, my VP of Operations, does a lot of the committee work with the chair and selection committee, which is a wonderful group at our table there. They do a tremendous job each year, and I get to be fortunate one to present. We had a wonderful thing in learning about some of the things, not just Tamara, but when we look at our group, Ronita at Morningside, this is her third recipient, I believe. Is that correct? The third recipient of a teaching chair award from her school since she's been there. So that, I know that may have several folks here, but that was very impressive for us to have. Reviewing some of the application and pieces and speaking with her earlier, there's many things I know that really stood out. Part of the committee, Leanne told me that her smile was infectious. She had just an incredible attitude and just a real zeal for life. And you could tell by many of those things when you first met her that all that stood out immediately. Some of the other pieces in reading was like Teach for America that she taught for. Having a lot of friends personally coming out of college and doing that, showing a real dedication and commitment of wanting to give back to the community at the most meaningful level, which is in that piece by going to areas of schools and education where they really need their help. And I think that definitely shows the dedication that she has. So please join me in appreciation, Tamara, for your honor of teaching.
Thank you to Outreach Communications and to the Teaching Chair Committee for choosing me as a recipient of the award. I am truly so honored. Thank you to my principal, Ms. Carradine, for encouraging me to apply and for allowing my colleagues and me to really be a part of creating and implementing the vision for our school. Thank you to Ms. Massey, our reading specialist, for being my biggest cheerleader. And thank you to my mom and dad who instilled in me the importance of striving for excellence in everything that I do. I thank them for being my first teachers. Teaching is a calling, my calling. Although the work is constant, I am thankful that I have a calling and a purpose that drives me. After working for 1.5 years in another career, I finally began my foray into education. I started as a teacher assistant and then found Teach for America. As I read TFA founder Wendy Kopp's book, One Day All Children, I was inspired. All of my passions converged, my desire for social justice, my desire to give back, my desire to inspire, and my desire to do worthy work. In short, my desire to teach. I applied, interviewed, and was selected and sent to St. Louis in 2002. As a St. Louis Teach for America Charter Corps member, the work was challenging and grueling. We were 21, 22, and 23-year-olds that slept, drank, and ate teaching. And now I'm a 35-year-old teacher that pretty much does the same. In the summer of 2005, I remember my Teach for America director, Chris Cronin, saying, "Teaching a child to read is the civil right of the 21st century. To many, that may sound like it was a civil right earned long ago. But the truth is that many of our students are reading 2 to 3 years behind their on-grade level peers. They are truly being left behind. And we all know that if you can't read, you will find it difficult to do any other subject or task independently. My goal is to close the gap with each of my students. And for my students that come to me above grade level or on grade level already, I want them to continue soaring so that they can compete in the global community that we now live in. My goal is to inspire every child so they truly fall in love with reading. If I can do that, then I know that I can aid that child in becoming a lifelong learner, an independent thinker, and give them one of the tools they will need to achieve their dreams. When I came into teaching, I remember telling my TFA director that I just really wanted to be great at something. That has been my focus for the last 10 years, and I've learned along the way that as a teacher, you can never really be great unless you're always striving to be better. And although greatness in teaching is a moving target, I truly thank you for this award. It means that with God's help, I am certainly closer to my goal than when I first began. Thank you.
I'm here today to present the Baird H. Friedman Chair in Teaching Excellence in the Performing Arts. And this year the honoree to my right is Eric Mullins. Some of his students know him better as the Mullinator. Is that correct? Okay. After graduation, Eric joined the Fort Worth ISD at Western Hills High School and Middle School. And truly, during his 11 years with Western Hills, his record of achievement has just been outstanding. I won't go through all the awards that have been won by the marching band and by the jazz band and by the wind orchestra, but they're numerous and certainly speaks to his abilities to teach music. And on top of that, growing up, I had some friends who were great musicians in the high school band. I was not one of those, but they achieved all-state band status on a number of occasions, which resulted in scholarships to some major universities, and Eric's managed to do the same thing. When we started our children's education program in performing arts, one of the guiding lights was Stephen Salaney, who was the founding headmaster of Trinity Valley School. And if he said it once, he said it 10, 20 times in meetings, how important music was to students achieving overall academic excellence. And in reading a little about Eric, he feels the same way. So I am really proud to give the Bayard H. Friedman Award in Teaching Excellence in Performing Arts to Eric because he really fits our mold. So Eric, congratulations.
I'm very honored to be receiving this award, especially considering the vast amount of dedicated and gifted teachers we have teaching performing arts in Fort Worth ISD. I would like to thank Martin Subarato and the Performing Arts Fort Worth and its board and the staff for their generous sponsorship of the Bayard Friedman Chair for Excellence and the incredible work that they do in helping with the education of our kids in music and assisting in the stuff that we do on a daily basis. Of course, I have to also thank the administrators and parents and great students that I have come in contact and they have made this award possible. So my gratitude goes to them. In the application process, we were asked the question, what is the value of performing arts education for students who may not pursue a career in performing arts? And I would like to share you with a slightly edited version of that answer. Participating in performing arts education is valuable to the student's education as a whole person. I'd like to share some figures with you. A 10-year study tracking more than 25,000 students shows that music making improves test scores. Regardless of socioeconomic background, music making students get higher marks in standardized tests than those with no music involvement. University studies conducted in Georgia and Texas found significant correlations between the number of years of instrumental music instruction and academic achievement in math, science, and language arts. In 2001, according to data from the College Board, SAT takers with coursework experience in music performance scored 57 points higher on the verbal portion of the test and 41 points higher on the math portion than students with no coursework or experience in the arts. Students learn musical skills and expand their creative minds to develop their aesthetic potential, which is essential to the development of the whole person. Through band, they are also learning skills like teamwork, effective practice, dedication, organization, prioritization, careful attention to detail, leadership, discipline, and personal interaction. These are taught in the process of music learning and performing, which are then also translated to coping with the scheduling of time related to rehearsal, practice, and performance as well. In 1988, the International Association for the Evaluation of Educational Achievement test reported that the world's top academic countries place a high value on music education. Hungary, the Netherlands, and Japan stand atop worldwide science achievement and have strong commitment to music education. All three countries required music training at elementary and middle school levels, both instrumental and vocal, for several decades. The centrality of music education to learning in the top-ranked countries seems to contradict the United States' focus on math, science, vocabulary, and technology. So, if we're not actively finding ways to recruit our kids into music performance classes, we are doing them and our academic system a disservice. If we make this effort, I wholeheartedly believe that we will see the results in their performance in every single aspect of their education. And we will be paving the way for our students to be competitive in the worldwide market. Thank you again for this incredible honor. I feel so fortunate, and thank you for your time.
I will
say that it just is so much fun to have served on the committee to select Aaron Blythe and to represent the foundation that has for 8 or 9 years now seen fit to endow the chair. This started when the Fort Worth ISD was lacking some arts and music and performing arts education. And back in the day, Flora and I and some others said, well, we're going to fix this. So we got a group together and we got that funded. I'm looking at Mrs. Moss, who remembers. And so it is very important that we have a full-rounded education to enhance the STEM through the arts. And with that, let me tell you a little bit about this amazing woman to my right, Aaron Blythe. She's been in the Fort Worth ISD as a teacher for 6 years, has been educated at the Art Institute of Chicago and UNT. And I just wanted to quote, since I was on the committee, had access to some written material, and tell you what she said in her application, which came through when she was interviewed and was just so clear. She said, I want to instill a lifelong appreciation for the visual arts in each student. As they grow into our future, they will be responsible for carrying the torch. It is imperative that they understand the arts in relation to our human past and present. Art lends itself to diversified learning, show, tell, do, and then do it again in a different way. That's what the arts do for us. And Troy Langston, who's out here, is her principal and my friend, and I want to tell you what he had to say about her, just an excerpt about her. Mrs. Blythe is not only a fantastic teacher of traditional art, but she is innovative in how art can be taught in various situations. She has taken a group of students interested in science, has created learners and lovers of art. And what I failed to say is she teaches at TABS, which is the Texas Academy of Biomedical Science, which is so cool. It's a school of choice, and it's developing future scientists of all sorts. So she's the art teacher there. And to close, Troy said, our students admire Erin for her honesty and hard work, and students who might never connect with the world of art are making connections and are engaged in the process. So once again, huge privilege to be here, and congratulations to you, Erin.
Thank you. I would like to say there are many monetary opportunities for core teachers in Title I schools, but teaching in the visual arts is assumed to be a reward in itself above and beyond that of any other subject. I would like to thank the Paulus Foundation for recognizing the visual arts and art teachers as equal to that of other academic subjects. I know many of the previous winners and am humbled to become a part of the Paulus Club. Thank you so much for contributing your annual award and allowing art teachers to feel respected and recognized as professionals of their subject. No award is earned by the efforts of a single person, and I certainly would not have been recognized by the Paulus Foundation without the support of 3 people. Beverly Fletcher, who's not here today, is a force of nature that cannot be adequately described. And if you know her, you know exactly what I mean. I am in constant awe of her generosity, optimism, and enthusiasm. She never sees problems, she only sees opportunities. And I do not know if many of you have ever tried to address a room full of art teachers, but it's a lot like herding cats, and she does it beautifully. So I'd say thank you to Beverly. Troy Langston, our principal at Tabbs High School, has his picture in the dictionary under the word sincere. He listens, he asks great questions, he is an awesome collaborator, and is one of the most flexible people I know. When I propose difficult projects or new college courses for our students, he trusts my talent and our students' abilities. He is an incredible leader and a personal mentor. Finally, I'd like to thank my husband, Chris Scott, who teaches English at Carter Riverside High School. We have 2 children at Lily B. Clayton and are a family that is heavily invested in the Fort Worth ISD and the success of their students. Although his job contains a different set of pressures, I'm very empathetic and emotional, sorry. Chris fully supports me during the long months of student studio hours and contests. As a bonus, he stopped giving me the eye when I pick up bizarre objects on trash days, claiming that one of my kids can use it. I know there's a fine line between hoarders and art teachers, and I'm really trying to stay on the right side of it. Everybody's had an anecdote, and I really don't have one because I am a very emotional person. I would just like to say that I love our Fort Worth ISD kids, and they make my job so exciting every day. And I love working with kids who are specifically focused in science. I have learned so much this year myself, and I again love to learn. And I'm really grateful for this award. Thank you very much.
I will tell you, I am under a lot of pressure because one of the things that Clyde teaches is speech. So I think he was making notes with some of you. The reason we have always done this for the last 6 years is because listen to the words of the educators in this room. Passion, love, time, commitment. And without that in our society and the businesses that are represented today, we know we would be nowhere without you. And that's why it's an honor for us to, year after year, come and do this. One of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to read a little insert that he put also in his comments, and think about this as a business person, as an educator, as a parent. My students are our future. My task is making them thinkers, dreamers, and problem solvers. Our students need to believe that they have the power and the tools that change their lives and the surroundings of others to be better. Without people like Clyde Berry in our community, where would we be? Think about that for a second. And I'm very proud to be able to present that to him.
Good afternoon. Class, we can do better than that. Good afternoon. There we go. I would like to thank the Fort Worth ISD Teaching Chairs Committee and Sue Alexis of Fort Worth for this honor. I know that there were many worthy candidates that you interviewed, and I am humbled to be chosen to represent my discipline. I would also like to thank the support of numerous Fort Worth ISD employees for supporting my endeavors, including my principal, Mr. Ruthart, the Director of Fine Arts, Ms. Walk, Dr. Sorum, Ms. Griffith, Mr. Gravassos, all the people downtown who answer my endless emails saying, can we do this? Can we do this? What about this? Can we do this? And they are always very supportive in their replies. Teaching is the most challenging profession that I have ever had, and each year it begins anew with higher goals and larger expectations. To constantly improve my skills and truly prepare my students for what they will face after high school is a substantial feat. For I don't teach a subject, I teach young people. I teach doctors, scientists, presidents, musicians, engineers, pilots, athletes, chefs, and more. I teach the future. But in order to do so, I have to be a student myself. Therefore, I have to rely on the best possible co-workers to help me. I rely on their guidance. They teach me patience, persistence, and relevance. They keep me grounded, hopeful, and on target. If I have any success at all with my job, it is because I have the best teachers that challenge me, my students. Thank you.
Radio Shack has actually been a part of this award since the very beginning. So for that, we are very, very proud. Recognizing outstanding classroom teachers in our community has always been a priority for us. This year, we're very excited about our winner. He has been teaching in Fort Worth ISD for 3 years. Through his interview process and the teaching demonstration, the committee and I just really agreed that through his passion and excitement for teaching, we just all agreed that he was fantastic, and it was just unanimous there. So on behalf of the committee, Radio Shack's 25,000 employees and 4,400 retail locations, I'm honored to present the Radio Shack Chair for Teaching Excellence in the Acquisition of Language to Mr. N. Connolly.
I have the honor of speaking last, and thank you, and thank you. It really is an honor to be included as a part of this group, really a group of outstanding teachers. I'd like to begin by thanking my principal at Pascal High School, Dr. Mossage. She is a constant champion and supporter of the kids and the teachers at Pascal High School. I'd also like to thank Carrie Harrington, our Director of World Language. 4 years ago, I found myself in Carrie's office, genuinely believing that I was there interviewing for an English position. She thought I was there for a French position. We talked for a while, we compromised on German, and everything sort of worked out. Lastly, I'd like to thank the committee and at Radio Shack, as well as all the other sponsors. My wife and I have 7-month-old twins, and it's really wonderful to know that they're going to grow up in a district and in a town where education gets this kind of support from its corporate life and from its community. Putting together these remarks was actually one of the hardest things I've done this year, and I teach freshmen. I was really nervous. I am really nervous. What do you say at these things? You got to keep it brief, you got to keep it fun, but you still got to say something meaningful. So I did what my kids do when they have big questions. I got on YouTube. And it turns out there's a lot of advice about doing exactly this kind of stuff, including all of the past speeches that were given at this luncheon. And I watched all of them, and then got really scared. So then I watched a bunch of cat videos, and I got sidetracked by Facebook. So then I got off the internet, and I figured I had to get this done or Peg was going to email me again. And so I looked at the letter we received, and it said I should share a story or two about teaching. So that's what I'm going to do, I guess. I teach freshmen. I started teaching 4 years ago, roughly, after putting in 16 years in the restaurant industry. 11 of those years I spent as a chef in fine dining kitchens. Now, I tell you this by way of letting you know that I am an expert at navigating the ins and outs of the personal dramas of kitchen staff. I've more than once talked a dishwasher down from doing physical harm to a server. I can keep a very disgruntled group of cutthroats operating like a finely tuned orchestra and still turn out 400 plates of exquisitely plated food and make sure nobody gets stabbed in the process. None of that prepared me for teaching. 3 weeks as a teacher, and my wife came home to find me sitting on the couch, staring at the wall, quietly sobbing. I'd been there for about an hour. I'd made a terrible mistake, I told her. I was going back to the kitchen where people were rational, where I knew what was going on. She talked me down, and I'm forever grateful for that. She teaches too. She does elementary school, music. So to her, my little meltdown was really funny. She said I shouldn't quit. She said it was gonna be okay. She said I should ask for help. I did. She said I should listen to the kids. I did. She gave me some books to read. She gave me websites to visit. She talked to me all the time about what works for her, and it turns out it's not that different in high school. She kept me going, and she helped me plan. She still helps me plan. She helped me realize my favorite thing about teaching, which is that there's always something to improve on. There's always something you could do differently. There's always something to learn. We had this amazing Latin teacher at Pascal, Ken Wright. And he told me a few weeks ago, we were chatting, he says he starts every school year hoping, just knowing this is going to be the year he does it perfectly. He says he's 25 years in and it hasn't happened yet. So I think it's better for me, for now, just to be constantly learning and working to do better by my kids. And I do learn. I learn every day. I've learned that vocabulary lists don't work if you actually want your kids to learn vocabulary. That most kids don't actually share my ardent love for the intricacies of the German subjunctive. That if you actually want a kid to learn a foreign language, you have to give them a reason to fall in love with its culture. That kids love competitions, but they hate exams. It's useful. I've learned that if a lesson bores me, it's never going to work for one of them. But the best thing I've learned, and I think it's something everybody in this room knows, but I found it out recently, so it's worth saying before I sit down. If our goal as educators is to cause a year of learning to happen for our kids, then I'd rather not do it by building them a tower and seeing how far up it they can climb that year. I'd rather build them a sandbox, and I'd rather scatter into that sandbox a few things that they need to build their own towers. The ones they build are always much taller than mine and much more beautiful. Thank you.
The individual who supervises the divisions of school leadership, teaching and learning, and student support services, it is truly a great privilege to be here amongst all of these teachers today. Ms. Blythe referenced Beverly Fletcher as a force of nature, and all of us who know her agree, but I think we can also say we are in the presence of 15 forces of nature who go to work every day and change the world. So to all of you, kudos and thank you. You'll never know how much we appreciate you. One of the last things we do before selecting the teachers' chairs is we send out an email to everybody who might have worked with them in the past, and we ask, are there any things, any stones unturned? And this year, within 15 minutes of sending out that email, let's say half an hour, I had a box full of emails, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I got to tell you, every one of them raved about this group of teachers. Every single one of them said that this is the group that really sets the mark for all of us. So we are humbled and honored to be in your presence, teachers. And believe it or not, central office is actually here to serve you and to make your job easier. As we recognize that if our kids aren't successful, then you're not successful, and none of us are successful. And so please know, and as Mr. Berry alluded, you can email us all directly, and we'll do our best to get back to you and support you as best we can. The generosity of this community is incredible. So let's give all of our sponsors a great round of applause. We have a new member of our team supporting our teachers in Devon Energy, and we deeply appreciate your coming aboard to support this endeavor. This program is modeled after the university chair institution that we have across the country in our universities, and it's unique in that it's the only one that we know of in the country that recognizes and supports teachers in this way. So thank you again. The teachers that we're honoring were chosen through a very rigorous selection process. You've heard some bits and pieces of that. It included the written application, recommendation letters, interviewing, and a teaching demonstration. Sounds like some of those were very fun. The selection committees are composed of sponsor representatives, parents, members of the business community, and representatives of higher education. Many of these committee members are here with us today. And again, we want to thank those committee members who spent many, many hours selecting this outstanding group of teachers. So thank you all, committee members. The remarks today have been moving for all of us, and myself included. I never leave one of these events without getting teary-eyed a couple of times, because what you do and what you say speaks to each and every one of us. Your mission of preparing students for success in college and career and community leadership is what we're all about in the district and in the community of Fort Worth. It's our shared vision to ignite in every child that passion for learning. This is what we're striving for in Fort Worth across the system, a singleness of purpose. And this initiative challenges all of us, teachers, administrators, community partners, stakeholders, to commit to and to pursue that same goal, the singular purpose of student achievement. To learn more about these teachers that we are honoring today, please visit our district website. There you will find detailed biographies of all of the chair recipients, and I know that you will be as impressed reading those full biographies as we are today in the short words that we got to hear. And also, for our technology savvy folks, use our hashtag fwisdteachingchairs.org, no, just FWISD Teaching Chairs, to tweet out the great news that we've heard today. So again, congratulations to all of you. We want to encourage you to take this award back. Don't stand in the shadows. Step forward, step into the light, and show your greatness to the world. Again, thank you to our sponsors. Your partnership is invaluable, and we look forward to continuing our relationship throughout the years. And before we leave, I do want to announce that we'll have a dinner sponsored by Sewell Alexis at Del Frisco's in the near future, and we'll look forward to seeing all of our teacher chairs and their families there for that dinner. So this concludes our program, and I want to thank all of you for coming, and have a great afternoon.